Yeah, hi class. So shall we start? Did you all get a chance to uh, install the SQL Server like we discussed yesterday? Okay, no problem. I mean, if you're not able to install it, so not a big deal. I mean, I can. I mean, I'll give you, a kind of overview on it, and in your own free time, you can install it and see it if you would like to practice that around. Okay, so Mohsin, I mean, you have got it. So so let me just open it up and let me just give you a brief around it so that you just get an idea that how and what exactly the SQL Server is all about. So just open my SQL Server. Just give me a moment. Oh, I think it's just yeah. So it is opened up. Okay. See, like when all of you will, I mean, the people who have it SQL Server, so they can just open it up. Let me just give you a little walkthrough around it, right? Like the stuff that you have all installed. So what you have over here is what you all have installed is you have installed a SQL Server, okay, and it's a product of Microsoft, right? And so basically this SQL Server, all the other databases like MySQL or you have Oracle or you talk about Teradata, they all have the similar kind of their usage and functionalities, right? Why do we use these all these software that I mentioned over here? We use them to create databases. Okay, now databases are an integral part of any business, right? Till the time we will not have a database, anything that we talk about, right? Anything that we talk of like R, Python, SAS, Tableau, Power BI, they are of no use, right? Till the time we do not have a proper mechanism in order to store the data. And that is where the concept of databases comes into picture, where they help us in order to store the data in a very structured way, and then later on it can be used as well, and you can use the data for any of your data manipulation or report generation or any sort of a thing that you would like to use it. Right now, all these databases, what they have in the common is they have one thing in common, and that is the language. Okay, so the language that is required in order to work on all these things is that is SQL. That stands for structured query language. Okay, so basically SQL is something that we use for that data which is in a structured format. Okay, on that we can use the SQL. And SQL was something that was kind of declared as universal language to work on databases. Okay, so this was declared as a universal language. So it was created by IBM. SQL was invented by IBM, and then it was declared as an universal language. And now any other product that we have in the market. So if you know SQL, you can you can work on any of the two. You will find 90% of the syntax to be similar. Okay, and there are only 10% syntaxes that will be a little bit different, right? Like order by will be sort by, descending would be like DESC, it would be descending somewhere. So those are the minor tweaks that you will find here and there, but mostly you will find the things to be very much similar, right? Like like in Paytm, like we use the Teradata as a sorry, not Teradata, Hive as the database where all the information and all the data is stored, because Hive is capable of storing the huge amount of data. Like SQL Server and MySQL, somewhere they do not have that much capability of the amount of data that is being generated with the e-commerce firms like Amazon, Flipkart, or whether you talk of Facebook as well, right? Facebook is also one of the company that uses Hive in order to manage all their data. Okay, so I will give you a brief about the SQL Server now, like having giving you the brief background. So SQL Server comes created from the two words. SQL means you will be using SQL to interact with anything, and server, what is server, right? Server is basically a physical location, right? Physical location as in a place where you store the data. Now, when you all install the SQL Server, or probably, when I have installed the SQL Server, so the server, what is a server, right? Server is my machine, because I will be storing and saving all the data onto my server. So that is when, when I gave you the two links, right? I gave you all two links from where you had to install the data. So one was SQL Server, from where you downloaded the Express edition. So with this, what you were doing was you actually installed a server. The server was created when you installed this application onto your machine. Now, then you install SQL Server, that is SQL Server Management Studio. So you need a client, right? You need some layer so that you can interact with that database. So this is that layer which helps you in order to interact with the databases. The first thing that it will ask you to is, it will ask you to connect to a server. Okay, now in my case, since my server is my local machine, so I will simply put, I can either put the name of my laptop and slash SQL Express. The reason being, I'm using a free edition, so I have to mention that SQL Express in that case. If had it been you have been using a licensed version, you will just have to put the name of your machine. And with this client itself, right? With this client itself, I can connect to any server, provided I should have access to that server, right? So suppose there is one SQL server in, there will be a server in any of the companies. Like let's talk about Amazon. Amazon will be having a server of, say, suppose they use SQL Server for all their data management. So they will be having a server and they will be having an IP address of that. If suppose I have an authentication and I know the IP address, if I put that IP address over here and then I give my authentication, that user ID and password, I will be able to connect to that server as well from my own local machine. So this is the purpose of that. The SSMS, you see, connect to a server. So from your system, you can connect to any server, provided till the time you have the credentials of it. Now, what I will do is, since it's on my local machine, I will simply click on connect. So probably my services will be down. Because SQL Server is a heavy software. So if you do not use it for a couple of days, so Windows automatically shuts down the services. So you will not be able to use the SQL Server. So you just have to restart the services. So it has failed. So I just need to install the services again. I mean, not install, just restart the services. Just doing that up. So here we are. So my services are started now. So I'll be able to connect to my SQL Server. Okay. So now if you see on the left hand side, you can see a folders being showcased over here to me. So over here, you can see the databases, right? So databases are basically the pointers. So Jatin, in order to connect to the services, you just have to, actually I didn't share that window, so that is why you're not able to see it. This is the window that comes up, right? Okay, this is the window that will come up. Can you all see my screen? So if you see, this is the window that opens up, services.msc. So if you will just type in your Windows command, services.msc, this page opens up, which shows you for all the applications that are installed on your machine, you will be able to see their services, which all things are running. Okay, so over here you will find SQL Server. If you type SQL, so you will find, so actually I have both the SQL Server's license software also and the free version also. That is why you are seeing lot of options over here. In your case, you will only see SQL Server SQL Express. You just have to right click over here and start, right? My service is already started, so I can stop them. So if you want to start it, you have to just click on this. Okay. And you can please save that command, because if you will be not using the SQL Server for a couple of days, you will also find the same challenge to be happening. Now what I'll be doing over here is in the folders of section, so this is how the interface looks like. You all will be also having a similar look and feel. If you open up the databases, what you will find over here is okay, so you see, actually I have a lot of databases already over here. Okay, so these databases are something that are already onto my system. So what I'll be doing over here is I'll show you how to create a database, right? So definitely we will not be deep diving. I'm just giving you so that you can actually get starting with the things. If you click on new query, okay, this is where what will happen is your query editor will open up, right? Like we have the program editor where we write the SAS codes. This is the query editor to write your SQL codes over here. Okay. Now, when you install the SAS, right, what happens is you will find a lot of databases. So you will see there are certain databases which are system defined databases that get pre-installed, right? These are something that you will never be using to store your data anywhere. They are just required for the proper functioning of the databases. Okay. Now what I'll do is let us create our own database. Let us create our own first database. And how do we create a database? It's very simple. SQL is just the way we write the English. Okay. I want to create a database. So I will say create database, and you can give the name to the database. Say suppose I want to create a database by the name of DSP-54. So what will now happen is my database will be created in this case. Okay. So if I execute this command, so Samir, I think, are you all able to hear me? I think Samir is not able to hear my voice. So Samir, okay. So the moment I run this command, right, create database DSP-54, I get a message command completed successfully. That means a database has been created. Now, what is a database, right? Database is nothing. Database is just a collection of objects, right? Like in the SAS, we used to create libraries, right? We used to create libraries, and in each library, we used to keep the data sets. Same way, database is similar to that, but it has little more functionalities, because on the database you can create a lot of stuff. You can create tables, you can create views, you can create functions, you can create stored procedures, you can create triggers. So there are a lot of objects that can be created in a database. So it is just a place that we are defining that anything related to DSP-54 I will be saving in this database. Okay, so if I now expand this databases, I will find that database to be over here. Just need to refresh it. Let us refresh this. Okay, so you will see DSP-54 is now created, right? I can see this database. Now this is right now empty, right? Because I've not stored any data into it. So how do we store the data in the SQL Server? Is like, in the SAS you create data sets, right? In the SQL we create tables. So we will say create table. You give the name of the table. Say suppose I want to create a table by the name employees. Okay, I want to create a table by the name of employees. Now, before I create that table, I have to just run one more command as well. Okay, if you see over here, master is written at the top. Master means right now the active database is master. Master is nothing. Master is a system defined database. Okay, that means if I'll create any object, it will be created in the master database. So what I will have to do is I will have to write that use DSP-54. Okay, I am defining that I would like to work on DSP-54. So if I'll execute this command, so execute is this, and the shortcut key for that is F5. So you will now see DSP-54 is visible in this. That means now if I'll create any table, it will be created in the DSP-54 database. So I'm creating a table by the name of employees. I'll keep, very simple columns like say suppose ID. Now, what is the type of information that I will store in ID? That will be integer. So I'm saying I want to create a column of ID, which will store integer numbers. I want to save the employee name. That will be character. So I will define character as its data type char. And with the character, you also have to define the size. Size means maximum width. That what is the maximum length of a name that you can store. So employee name, I will like to store his date of joining. Now date of joining is date type. So the data type is date that we use. That in this column, the information that I will be storing, that will be of date type, and I would like to store the salary, which will be again integer, or maybe I can say it float as well. So if the decimal salary is into decimals, so I will keep it as float. Okay. Now let me execute this command. The data will be, kind of a table will be created. But right now this is a blank table, right? This is just a structure of the table that I've created. That I want to have a table by this name. And in this table, I want to have these columns. And I have defined their data types. What kind of data will I have in each column? Then what you need to do is, I want to insert the data. So I will say insert into the name of the table. The name of the table is employees. Okay, insert into employees, values. And you have to give the values row wise, right? First row, ID1, name is Sam, and his date of joining, you have to first give the year. So suppose he joined in 2015 on, the month was, say suppose 10th month on 25th. Okay, this is the information. And his salary is something that we put into float. Say suppose his salary is 5.7 lakhs. Okay, so I'm putting in this fashion. So this is the first row that I'm inserting. If you want to insert multiple rows, just put up a comma, and ID2, the name will be, suppose, Tom. Okay, his date of joining is, say suppose 2017, the month was December, and he joined on 12th of December, right? So this is the second, and his salary is, say suppose 6.5. Okay, so let us execute this command. So what I've now done is I've just inserted the 2 rows of data into the table. Okay, so we have inserted 2 rows of data into this table. My table is now created. So if I would like to see this data over here, how will I see it? So for that, what we do is we use the command that is called as select. Select is the most widely used, the command that you will be using most of the time in order to retrieve your data. So I will say select star. Star means all the columns. I will say select star from employees. Okay. So the moment I say select star from employees, it will show you the entire data that you have in that table. ID, employee name, date of joining, and salary. So you can see the information that we had stored. So select is the command that we use in order to see the data that is stored in that table. Making sense to all of you up till here? Any questions, anyone, any doubts? I can share this script with you. I mean, if you want, instead of you all writing this up, you can run it at your end quickly. Okay, I'll share this as well. Okay, is this clear? Shall I move ahead? The people who do not have the SQL Server on their machine, nothing to worry. If you have SAS, you can still do the same thing. Let's do the similar thing on the SAS. So we already have the data sets, right? So I will be using SAS data sets over here. So what I will do is, in order to use SQL in the SAS, you have to run the command proc SQL. Okay, you put a colon after that, nothing after that you have to put, you just have to write proc SQL so as to tell that now you are running your proc SQL over here. Then what you do is, let's suppose, I want to retrieve the entire data from the crew data set, right? We all have that crew data set with us. So how will I do it? I will simply write my command select star from DSP-55 dot crew, right? This is as equivalent as proc print, right? The task that you do with the help of proc print, this is the same thing that you are doing over here. And in the proc SQL, you do not write run, you have to write quit. So this is also one of the part of the syntaxes. Okay, let us run this. So you can see this output. My output is coming into this window. Let me just change it. Okay, so this is exactly the same output that we get with the proc print as well. So if you can now see, I just need to write a select query over here. I say select star from that table name. It generates all the data for me. Okay, class. Now what we will be doing over here is, if you do not want to see all the columns, right? If you do not want to see all the columns, so how do you use to control that thing in the proc print? If I only want to see selected columns, so how will I manage that thing in the for proc print? Where command, right? So we used to use where command over there. So over here, what you do is you just have to mention your column names over here in the select command. So star means all the columns. Okay, if you want to see selected columns, you will just remove that. Say suppose you are only interested in seeing the columns. Say suppose the location, salary, and employee ID, right? So I want to see employee ID. Instead of star, I will say I want to see EMP ID. I want to see location and the salary. So let us run this. Oh. Okay, so now if you now see, I've got just 3 columns, right? Employee ID, location, and salary. Whatever order you will write and whatever columns you will write, you will get only those columns in the output. And the same thing follows in the SQL Server as well, right? So if I say instead of star, I say I only want to see the ID and I want to see the salary, and SQL is also case insensitive, so you can execute it. So it shows you only those two columns. Now, if you want to see the order data that you have seen in the proc SQL, right? If you want to see the output in the sorted fashion, right? You want to see the output in the sorted order. So how will you do that? Okay. So if you want to see the data in the sorted order, what you will do is we use the command that is order by. Okay, like over here, if you see in the SQL, the rows, I just inserted 2 rows of data. So say suppose I want to see this data in the descending order. So I will say order by, right, salary, and that to descending. So I will just write this. So now output will come in the descending order of the salary. Okay, 6.5 and 5.7. Now the same thing if you want to see it over here. So so when you write a SQL query, you just have to, once that complete query is written, only then you have to put a semicolon. So if you want to sort the data, I will do the similar thing over here. Order by, I want to sort the data by the, say suppose over here on the basis of salary and descending. Okay, so the semicolon comes over here. I think over here we use sort by, not order by. Let's just check it out. No, so order by is only used. So now we can see the output. It is coming in the descending order. Okay, now if you have to do the same stuff in the SAS, so it becomes a very task in which first you have to run the proc sort and then you have to run the proc print. Now that task becomes really easy over here with the help of these SQL query. Right? So I can share this if you would like to try it out. Okay, then later on, I mean, you can just try it and let me know if I can move ahead. Right, like the dplyr package that you all would have studied. So if you will see, actually, the commands over there come from that SQL only, right? Select command you would all have used, right? So this is the same thing. Similarly, you would have used the distinct command over there, right? So distinct is something that you use to, if you want to see the distinct values in a column, right? So for example, I write another command over here. I write another proc SQL. What I want to do is I want to see the unique locations. What are the different unique locations that I have in my data? So what I can do is I will say select, okay, I will say select distinct location. Okay, if I write this query, select distinct location from my table, order by salary. So it will give you the unique locations that you have in your data, and the data will be sorted in the descending order. So salary, it should be sorted by location. Okay, so this is something that will give you the unique data. So see, I have 3 locations: London, Frankfurt, and Cary. They are coming in the descending order of the data. Right, so very simple, right? So just have to write that select distinct query. You put distinct in front of it, it gives you only the the unique locations. If you put location and job code, it will give you the unique combination of location and job code. Okay, if I run this now, the unique combination of these two variables. So London flight 81, London flight 82, 3, and pilot 1. Same goes for Frankfurt and then goes for Cary. Okay, so you can try it out. I mean, I can share this over the chat. So we have class, so shall I move ahead? Right, so like in the proc print, we all use one command, and that command was where, right? Where clause, right? When we want to filter out the data and we would like to see only the selected data based upon the condition that we would have supplied. So how we will use that? Okay, so again, it is fairly simple. The way we used where clause over there, the same fashion, you will be using where clause over here as well. So if I just paste this code and I say I want to see the entire data, okay, I want to see the entire data, select star from the table, and where I'm saying is that I want to see the data where location equals to Cary. Okay, so if I put this, so and let's run this. So this is the where clause. So after select, you just have to put in the where clause. Oh, so this Cary is case sensitive, so I think we have to put that into the uppercase. So I'll just put that over here. Okay. So I can see the entire data coming up for the location Cary over here. Okay, first please try this. So you have to remember one thing. When you write the proc SQL, you have to write first comes the select, then comes the where, and then comes the order by. If you will change this order, your command will not run. Now, if you want the data to be sorted also, now you will say order by. So suppose you want to order it by salary. Okay, this is something that you all have to keep in mind. First, the select command comes, then the where, and then the order by. And this is a very frequently asked question also in the interview, that what is the order in which you write the SQL queries. So So Samir, you are saying you have downloaded this and activated. I mean, what as such we do not have to activate anything, Samir, in this case. Just I mean, you are saying to launch it. This is what you are asking, how to launch that SQL Server. So just on the Windows icon, type SSMS. Just type this. You will get SQL Server. I think your will be the 18 edition, so you will be getting written as SQL Server Minimum Studio 18. And just click on that. So this SSMS will come up onto your screen. So Pankaj, you are saying you are not getting in the SQL Server. So you are saying that that in the output this is not coming in the decimals, and you have declared. Have you declared it as a float? So salary. Can you share your screen? Is it possible? Are you on the same system? I can just quickly take a look at it and let you know what could be wrong in that case. Okay. No, Pankaj, not yet. Can you open that the database that is Ematicus 1? Tables, click on tables. Over there only, yeah. And expand this, yes, employees, expand this. Click on columns. Actually, it has not gone as a float over there. So from here, click on that numeric and just choose the float type from there. Then it will work. Okay. Just give me a moment, please. So now what will happen is in the where clause you will have all the operators available. Okay. So in the where clause you have all the operators available, right? Like greater than, less than, and, or. So all the things you can use over here. So if you say where location equals to carry and you want to say salary is say suppose more than 30,000. So it will kind of give you all that information, and all the operators, the ones that we learned in the SAS, they are all usable over here as well. Okay, class. So all the operators are usable and or greater than, less than, everything. Now, once this is the where clause is done, now the next thing that we will see over here is that is the the uh, do you remember we learned two things? Uh, before I come to that, let me show you the group by clause. Okay, we will learn about group by. So yeah, group by is something that we did yesterday also, right? Like how if I had to group the data in the SAS, so there were a lot of big steps that I was following in order to summarize the data and then see that out. Now I can do that stuff very fairly easily in the case of SQL Server. Say suppose this is the data that I have, that is the crew data. What I would like to see is I would like to see the total salary for each location. What is the sum of total salaries, right? Total salaries in Cary, total location salary in Frankfurt, total salary in London. This is what I want to achieve. That is something that is called as grouping of the data, right? So you all understand, as if I hope you all understand what grouping is and why do we need it. So what I will do is I will so I will say proc SQL. Okay, I will say select location, comma, sum of salary. Okay, because I want to see the sum of salary, so I will have to say location and sum of salary from DSP-55 dot crew, and then what you do is you have to mention the command group by location, group by location. Okay, so when you have to group the data in the SQL Server, you have to mention the name of that column on which the grouping has to be done. And then you have to define the aggregation formula on what basis the aggregation has to be done. So if I'll run this, so I can see Cary, Frankfurt, and London. So if you see, I am not getting any name over here. Right? I'm not getting any column name over here. That is because when I created sum of salary, this is a new column that is being created. So I can give an alias name to it. I can call it as total. So I can give a name to it. So that way you will get a name of that column. Okay, as total. Just take a look at it. So you have to make sure when you are grouping in the SQL query, you mention the name of that column on which the grouping has to be done, and then you also mention an aggregated formula like sum of salary, and then you have to say group by location. Now all of you write a query where I would like to see the average, the average salary for different job codes, right? What is the average salary for flight attendant 1? What is the average salary for flight attendant 2? Likewise, this is something that I would like to see in the output. Yep, class, anyone written? So please let me know. You can share your query on the chat if anyone has written it. Okay, so Aman, the query that you've written is, so in this, you will have to put the semicolon only once, right? Like, let me just copying your query over here. Okay, so the entire query is one. Okay, so semicolon will come just in the last over here, just once. That's it. Okay, so if we now run it, so AVG function might not be not able to find it. So sorry, just DSP-55 dot crew. That is what I have to mention. And group by job code. Yep, that is also one thing. Yep, so average also works over here. So you can see that. So this is what I get, the average salary for the different job codes. So average will also work, mean will also work. Others, did anyone else try it? Mohsin, Pankaj, are you able to write it? Correct. So Mohsin, yours is also right. So this is what you will have to write it over here. Okay, now you know what happened is, like, again, this is a very interesting question. Okay, now what you want to do is, so Vishay, select statement is something that we use to retrieve the data from a table. Okay, so select is something when I had this data set with me. So I want to retrieve the data, like I want to retrieve the job code and the average of salary. So over here, I'm doing the kind of grouping of the data, right? So everywhere where I have to fetch the data from the table, so I use select command. Like if I say select star from the table, so that means select star means all the columns from that table. So it will pull all that information from there. If I say select and put the column names, column 1, comma, column 2, column 3, it will only fetch those 3 columns. Then after that, I've written order by. Order by is something that we use to sort the data, right? Order by is something similar to sort by, like the proc sort that we use. So this will give me the output in the sorted order of salary in the descending order. Okay. So select is used almost like everywhere, wherever I want to fetch this data. Now what I will do is, with the group by, say suppose, the output that we saw now over here. Okay, this output that we saw. What I want to do is, say suppose I am only interested in seeing those job codes where the average salary is more than 30,000. Okay, I am only interested in seeing those job codes where my average salary is more than 30,000. So how will I do that? Okay, so for that, with group by, we never use where clause, we have to use having clause. Okay, I will say having sum of, average of salary greater than 30,000. Now if I'll run this, see, now this row is not coming in the output. So I did ended one, I am not getting in the output. So it is giving me only that data where average salary is more than 35,000. Okay, please try this. I will ask you a very important question again, which is asked again in the interviews quite oftenly. So I can use the where clause over here as well. Okay. So what I can do is I can put the where clause over here as well. So where salary is more than 30,000. Okay. Now the question that is asked very oftenly is that what's the difference? What is the difference between average, where and having? So just try to think of what could be the difference between having and the where clause. So mostly the question is what is the difference between the where clause and the having clause. Anyone? So what's the difference between where and having? So like, the question will be like this. One query is this. One query is this. And one query is this. Right? So these are the two salaries that these are the two queries that I have written. So what is the difference between the two? How will this impact my result? Will these two queries have the same result or they will have different results?
So won't the sum be higher? Means won't it be crossing like 30,000?
Huh? It
I
will be
mean,
higher.
if
I mean, I've given you everything. I mean, this is the query in front of you. So you have to give me the output. Will the output be same or will the output be different? Okay, so Naman says, Jatin, you all say different. I think Saurabh, you have given the right answer. See, how will that output be different? So that is something that we all have to understand, right? So your, kind of the answer is correct. See, when you do the where clause, so what will happen is when the grouping will be happening, the grouping will happen after removal of the rows where the salary was more than 30,000, right? Say like, if this is the file, there is employee 1, employee 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they are working in the location of, say, suppose let's take all of them are working in the London. So when you use where clause and they have their salary, say suppose 28,000 and 25,000 to 35,000. Okay, so now just see the value. So in this case, what will happen is when you say where clause, right? So in the where clause, first of all those rows where the salary is more than 30,000, they will be deleted, and then the grouping will be done, right? Then the total salary you will get. But when you use having clause, in that case, first the addition of all the rows will be done. All the rows will be first added, and then the condition will be checked if that sum is more than 30,000 or not. Right? So that is what the difference is. So in that, where at the row level, the rows are deleted before aggregation, and in the group by the having clause, the data is deleted after the aggregation. Okay, this is something that is asked very frequently. Okay, class. So now we will take a quick pause over here, and let us start in next 10 minutes. Okay, so we'll all take a 10 minutes of a break, and let's start at 6:20. Yeah, class. So let's start. And thanks, Saurabh. Okay. So let us get started, right? So is the thing, other things clear up till here, right? The group by and all the queries that we have done. Anyone, any questions in their mind? Okay. See, now the next thing that we will be seeing over here is that is the union clause, right? So what is union, right? So union is something that is equivalent to what we did in the appending of the data set, right? Remember we did concatenation of the data, one data below the another, right? So if I go to my library, so in my prog one, we were using, oops, it doesn't exist, 55. So we were using the data sets, what were those? May target, right? So we had that May target and June target likewise. And we have some small data set also. I will Miami employees, right? So what we were doing was we were putting the data of three data sets one below the another. So if you have to do that same thing with the SQL, so how do we do that is we basically do it with the help of union clause. So how do we write it? So you will say proc SQL. I'll say select star from DSP-55 dot Miami employees. Okay, union. I will say select star from DSP-55 dot Paris EMP. Okay, and I'll quit. So this is what we do with the union, right? So union is something that is used to put data one below the another. So there are basically two clauses. One is union and another is called as union all. So I'll just tell you what the difference between these two is. Let us execute this command. Oops, from okay, so we will now see result window. So the data is coming one below the another over here, right? So above you have Miami employees and then you have the Paris employees. So data is right away appended. So I'll tell you what this thing that the two union clauses that I was telling you. You have union and union all. Okay. So see the difference between the two is that when you use union, okay, this function will actually remove the duplicate rows from the data. But union all is something that will not delete the duplicate rows in the data, right? Like for example, I had two data sets and in both I have the name and ID. Okay. In this I have the name A ID. Right. So I have the name and ID. Then I have the name and ID over here. Okay, in this table. So suppose I have B and 2 and I have C and C and 3 over here and I have the A and 1 over here also. A and 1. So if you will use union all command, right, what will happen is this complete data will come and it will be kind of it will come over here and it will be pasted down over here. So the duplicate data will be there in that output. But when you use union, in that case, this particular row will be deleted. This will not come in the output. Okay, because union something deletes the duplicacy, but it has to be at a complete row. The complete row has to be duplicated, not one single value. But union all will not do that. And even if if the duplicate data is in the same table, right? For example, you had the duplicate data in this itself, that v and 2 was coming twice in this table. Still, when you will combine it, and in this data you just had this much data, if still you will combine it, it will remove the duplicate data from here and will bring only the unique data into it. So that property will be followed for the same table as well. Okay. Now what we will be doing is, now something that we will do over here is, that is the most important part, that is the joins of SQL, right? Joins in SQL. So how do you make joins, right? Like we kind of studied in that depth as well. Inner join, left join, and right join. All those kind of a joins we studied in order to understand how we can combine the two data sets horizontally. Basically, that is the concept of the SQL, so which is being applied across different languages or the different tools. So what we will do now is, so let me pick up the table. So we were using the tables over there. So we used goals, and there was one more table. Is goals and sales. That was the table. Goals or the revenue. So, we can use this data set as well. Okay. So this can also be used. So we have the all sales and all goals, right? So if I see over here, in one of the table, I have the goal, and in another table, I have the sales over here. Now, what I would like to do is, I would like to see the goal and sales in one single table. Okay, this is what my requirement is. So how do we write the joins in the SQL? Or probably, if yeah, so I can show you over here only in the SAS, and I'll show you one example in the SQL Server. See, in order to do that, how we write that join query in the SQL is same thing, proc SQL. Okay. Now what I will do is, I will say that say select star from table one. What is my table one? That is all goals. Okay, DSP-55 dot all goals. 55 dot all goals. I want to make an inner join, so I will write inner join and the name of the second table, that is all sales. Okay, this is the second table. Then what you have to do is, you have to specify the common column between the two tables that you have. Okay, between the two the tables, what we will do is, you will have to specify that name of that. This is DSP-55 all sales. Okay, I will give the name of that common column, that is month. So how do I give that common column name is, you have to say on this table, the name of this table over here, dot month is equals to this table dot month. Okay, you can all check it, and you can let me know. So I'm saying select all the data from table 1, inner join with this table 2, and on you specify that this column is equivalent to this column in this table. So this is just the common column that we have. DS-55 dot all goals dot month. Okay, so now I can see the output month, the goal, this was the goal, and this was the sales, right? So what I've done is basically, actually I've just given a alias name because, it was coming in that big name, all DSP dot and dot. So due to it was not able to recognize it. So what I did was I gave a dummy name. I said that, this table is G, represent this as G, and this table as S. So I'm saying S dot month. S means this table column month is equals to this table dot month. So this will give me the common column name. So I've just given an alias name over here in order to pick those tables on this. Okay, is this clear to all how this inner join is written? So select all the data from table 1, inner join the table 2, and then you specify the common column. And if you do not want all the columns, right, like by default, what has happened now is I have got all the column as twice, right? Couple of columns as twice if you see in the output, right? Month is coming twice, right? So I do not want to see the month twice, or maybe say suppose I only want to see the month, the goal, and the sales. These are the two fields that I want to see. So how will I see it? So I will now come over here instead of star. Okay, I will write I want to see the month, I want to see the goal, and then I want to see the sales. Okay, these are the three fields that I want to see. And then we will execute this query. So if I now execute it, so there should be a problem of ambiguity that I should get. And let me see that ambiguity problem only that we are getting. Right? We get an error of ambiguous reference. Right? What do you mean by ambiguous reference? Anyone knows this error? See, ambiguity is I have written I want to see the month. Right. So what I've mentioned over here is I want to see the column month, goal, and sales, right? Now goal is fine, right? Because now this SAS can understand that goal is coming in the table this and sales is coming in table this. But month is a column that is coming in this table also and this table also, right? So as a result of which SAS is not able to understand like from which table should it pick up the month and show you in the output. So you have to mention the name of the table. So I will say G dot. So pick up the month from the goals table and then show me the output. So we have an error. Oh, it's fine. Where is this? Yep, we have got it. Okay, so I can see the output month, goal, and sales. So now I'm not getting the output over here. Okay. Now all of you, Samir, so you have a question. If it was on G month equal to S1 month, no, it will be the same. See, it is you are just equating it, right? Oranges equal to oranges. So whether the oranges is from this table or this table, it doesn't make a difference, right? So you can write it anyway. This equal to this or this equal to this is the same thing. Okay. Now, all of you please write this. What I want to do is, I would like to see the data. What was, if you will see, in the data, what we had was, if I show you the tables, In the table of all sales, I have the column of region. Okay. And I have the month. Like in Europe, this much sale happened, and in North America, this much sale happened. What I would like you all to do is, I would like to see on a monthly basis, okay, on a monthly basis, what was the on monthly basis total sales and total goal. So write a query in order to show me the output on a monthly basis. What was the total sales in first month? What was the total sales and what was the total goal? So just write a query and let's see who's able to write it. Yep, class, have you written it? The query to get that summary data, goal versus months. Right. So the query that you have written is perfectly correct. As total sales and sum of goals as total goals. Right. So if I just paste it over here, okay. So you DSP-55 only, so I can execute this. Okay, so there is small error. The semicolon comes only in the last of the query, okay, not twice, only once. Goals, it would be goal, I guess, not the goals. Month, okay, so month, the same problem, ambiguity is happening, it is in both the tables. So I can say g dot month. Now we can see it monthly, my total sales were this and the goal was this. And if you want to add any calculated columns, you can also do that as well, right? So you can say the sum of this minus this, that will also be added up into your final output if you would like to do that. Okay, Clive? So anyone, any queries on this? See, it was simple grouping, right? After joining of the data, you have to just group the data. So SQL is, very, in terms of that, it is fairly easy. You just need to understand which function to use where. And from that, the analytics perspective, right? Since you all are gearing up for the, data science roles and everything. So to all of you, mostly, the SQL should be on your tips till the joins. Okay, because otherwise SQL server, if you talk of, it is little wide, right? Over there, you have to learn the concept of views also. You have the concept of procedures, but like for your roles, it is not required. But if you would like to learn it, they are not tough. They are very easy to create. They also, need these queries only that you should be good with. But yeah, uh, for that perspective, but up till the joins, you should be very much comfortable with all the things. In the interviews, you will be specially asked to write certain queries so that they can check you on your SQL skills and all. So for that purpose, I have also placed some of the exercises on the drive. I'll just show you that. Okay, on the drive, if you will go into that, the RSAS, uh, so this as articles. Okay, so there are a couple of exercises that you will find, 1, 2. So these are the exercises that I have placed. If you would like to try it out, you can try these exercises. And yeah, this is more, and one more concept that we have in these queries is that is called as subqueries. Okay, we have a concept that is called as subqueries. Now, what is subqueries? Let me tell you that over here. Now, for example, right, like this is the data set that I had. Let me say crew. Okay, what I want you all to do is, let me ask you a question so that you can understand that up. Say suppose, I want the name of first name and the last name of that particular employee who has the highest salary. Okay, I want the first name and the last name of that employee who has the highest salary. Okay, so how we will do this? Let me show you this. Okay, so I'll write proc SQL. I will say select first name, comma last name from DSP-55 dot crew, okay, where salary equals to, see, I cannot write straight away salary equals to max of salary. Okay, this will give you an error in that case. So if I say salary equals to max salary, and if I close this, right? So it is, see, it is giving me some error over here. Summary functions are restricted to the select and having clauses only. You see, I get this because I cannot use over here with I cannot use max straight away in this where clause. So what I will do is I will actually have to write one more query in order to achieve that. So what I will do is I will say where salary equal to select max of salary from DSP 55 dot crew. Okay, I will put this into the brackets so that you can all understand it. Now this is called as a subquery, a query within a query. You see, I have an outer query over here, and inside this I have written one more query. Now what will happen is first the inner queries are executed. First of all, this inner query will be executed, and this will give you the maximum salary. And what will be the, whatever the maximum salary that you will have in this, it will be compared to this salary. So salary equal to maximum value, and then you will be able to achieve the first name and last name of that. Oh, so column name spellings are wrong. It is first name. So the name is Brian Stoop. So Brian Stoop is the person who has the highest salary in the data. Okay, now similarly, there is very interesting question asked, that is, give me the name of that employee who has the second highest salary. Okay, can you find it? What is the logic that I need to find if I want to find the person, this, so suppose my question is, I want you all to give me what is the second highest salary that I have in the data. Okay, the question is you have to give the second highest salary. So I'm not asking for the name and all. I am asking what is the second highest salary value. So how will you find that? So Saurabh, I mean, sorting will not give you that data. I mean, see, you will sort it in the descending order. You will have to look for it. But what my, the ask is, I want to have just the second highest salary number to be showcased to me over here on the screen. Yeah, I mean, that we could have done it any which ways, right? On this also, I could have done it, right? I would have said, okay, let me sort the data in the descending order, and I will tell you the name of the first name and the last name, right? So in that case, we do not require that condition itself. So how will you write it? So what I will do is, again, I will have to use the subquery over there. I will say I want to select the max of salary. I am saying I want to select the max of salary from this table where salary is less than the maximum salary. Okay, what this will give me is this query will give me the highest salary in the output. Okay, say suppose that comes out to be 50,000. Okay, now I am saying I want to find the maximum salary which is less than 50,000. So whatever will be the maximum salary after 50,000, you will get that. So if I execute this, something wrong. So max of salary from this. right? 68,000. So 68,000 is the highest, second highest salary that I have in the data. Your plus. So this is what we have right on the SQL. This is how you write your SQL queries in the SAS, and the same thing can be replicated on the SQL Server as well. So like I was telling you, if you like to practice it up, so I've uploaded a lot of exercises that if you will download this exercise, let me show you how to work with them. Okay, let me tell you. So once you will open this exercise, sure, Mohsen, I'll just do it. This is the code. So in this exercise, what you will find over here is these are the questions that you have to do, and in the bottom there is a SQL query that I have attached. If you will open the SQL query, this will open up in the SQL Server. Okay, just run this. It will open in the SQL Server also. It can open up in this Notepad as well. If it's open in the Notepad, just copy this query, come in the SQL Server, open a new query, and paste it over here. Right? When you will execute this complete query, it will create a database for you by the name computer manufacturers. It will create the tables for you. Okay, everything will be made like this is how the database will be created, and the tables will be there, the two tables. Using these two tables, okay, you will have to attempt these questions. Okay, 20 questions are there. I mean, there are a couple of questions that you might not be able to do it because these are related to the update and all. Okay, but still you can try it, right? I will show you how to work with the update as well and the delete data, right? How to update the data in a SQL Server table or delete the data in a SQL Server table. In the next session, maybe I'll show you that. But up to 16th question in both the exercises, you will be able to attempt without any problem. Okay. So this is something as a task that if you would like to do it, you can do it. You can work on it, and you can come up with the questions. Okay. So class, any other questions that I can help you around with? Anything? This is this. I'm giving you the link of the complete folder. In the SASM articles, you will find the exercises. No, so there won't be any graded assignments from my side. Okay. Okay, class. Then I think if no more questions or queries, we are good with the session. So let's. Okay, so we can connect. Yeah, I mean, so it's all about. This is me one second. So sorry, was saying something. Just give me a moment. I'm just looking out for the charger. Sorry, yeah. What were you saying? I'm sorry, I missed that. Hello? Yeah,
So
Mawson,
the link
the
for
link, the
yeah,
assignments,
because I have the older one, but it is only letting me, see in the SAS folder, not in the R folder.
Okay.
And so you were saying something that I didn't get some. You were saying something about data analytics, something I didn't quite catch it.
Yeah, I was just telling you, I mean, from that, the learning perspective, the thing should be clear to all of you up till the joins and all. We should be able to write comfortably all the queries in order to fetch the data, right? So if you see all the SQL queries that we had it in this session, we were trying to fetch the data from the tables. So you should be, kind of clear with those concepts like grouping, where, order by, having joins, union, distinct clause. So this is just I was trying to share the things with you, right?
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So okay, in the next class, so what we will be doing is we will be starting with the macros. So the macros in the SAS, and then we will be doing the project. So that is it. And then the next week after that, we'll be starting with the Tableau, which is again, very important for anyone, who is looking for this data science role. So Tableau is one of the tools that is used very widely in the industry. Yep. So it's an interesting tool. I mean, all you all will enjoy it. It's a complete drag and drop and reporting, dashboarding stuff. Okay. So we'll start on that. Uh, I think next week we'll be starting with the Tableau. Okay. In the
Yes.
meantime, please
Thank you, sir.
continue on this. Yes. Please do this.
Thank you, sir.
Samir, how do we import the databases? I mean, do you have any database with you? If you have some databases with you, what you can do is you need to simply right click on the database and you have to say attach or restore, right? You can click on attach if you have some database with you. And from here, you simply have to just, go to that file path where that file is placed, go to that folder, pick that file, and that database will be kind of imported into this SQL Server. Okay, it should be an MDF file that you should be using to that you try to import. Okay, guys. So let's catch up next week. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your patience.